when her life met a tragically abrupt end. Initially, it seemed it was some sort of terrible accident. There was no other way to explain it. However, investigators would soon untangle a twisted web of lies and uncover the horrific reality. Someone had wanted Emma dead. Growing up, Emma's ultimate dream was to become a neonatal ICU nurse someday, and the honors student was putting in the necessary effort to ensure she'd get there. She was making the most of high school, and her innate ability to excel in her endeavors was also exhibited in her role on the cheerleading squad. Her third year had just gotten underway, and she was loving it. Then, the morning of Monday, November 21st, arrived. Like she'd done so many times before, Jill went to her daughter's room to wake Emma for school around 6 o'clock. Right away, it was apparent that something was terribly wrong.
I just tried to wake up my daughter for school, and she has no pulse. How old is she? She's 16.
You said that she's non-responsive?
That's probably the parents' worst nightmare come true, yo. That's sad. But let's continue, because I don't really know how this goes. I actually haven't watched this one before. I'm trying to watch documentaries and stuff before I do these reactions. But let's just keep going. What's happening?
Stay on the line. I'm transferring you to room Echo.
Word of the mysterious tragedy spread quickly. Among those hit particularly hard by the devastating news of Emma's death was her boyfriend of 2 years, Riley Gaul. The two had first met in the fall of Emma's freshman year at Central High. She was the only freshman to secure a spot on the cheerleading squad. It was right around then that Emma caught the attention of junior and star wide receiver Riley Gaul. It came as no surprise that the two were soon inseparable. A steady stream of posts with photos saturated their social media feeds, documenting the fun times they shared. There were collages such as the one that read, "Look how lucky I am," posted by Emma in May of 2016. By the time that fall of 2016 rolled around, Emma and Riley were 2 years into their relationship. Emma, now a junior, remained a dedicated member of the cheerleading squad at Central High. Though Riley had graduated that previous spring, he stayed close to his hometown and was attending Maryville College, where he quickly made a name for himself as a wide receiver on the football team. Then, just a few months into the new school year, young Emma was gone. As routine procedure goes, the Knox County Sheriff's Office immediately began speaking with those closest to Emma. Riley was brought in that evening on the outside chance that he might be able to aid in the investigation. Based on a tweet from earlier that day, he was very distraught, and understandably so. "That's my beautiful Emma. Rest easy now, sweetheart," it read. And it just so happens, word has gotten back to law enforcement that Riley has some particularly eerie information to share. Apparently, Emma had been receiving threatening text messages from an unknown source during the course of the previous weekend. The detectives start with brief introductions, then get a technical matter out of the way. The following footage has been analyzed by a qualified team.
Why do I feel like the boyfriend set this up and there's actually no mysterious person? But anyways, that's just jump into conclusion. Or an assumption, jumping to an assumption.
Including a licensed attorney, a licensed clinical psychologist, a former licensed professional counselor, and a licensed professional counselor.
Before we get started, I understand you're not under arrest right now. You came down here free with your granddad and your mom. But because you're in a secure area, I have to read you your rights, okay? Because basically, if you're in a position that you can't get up and leave and get out on your own, they technically look at that in court as being in custody. But understand you're not in custody. I've not put handcuffs on you. I've not told you you've been charged with anything. Just a felony.
After Riley has read his rights, they engage him in a bit of small talk and efforts to build rapport, establish a baseline, and make him feel comfortable.
While we're waiting on him, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know obviously you played football at Maryville College. I'm assuming you played football in high school?
Yes.
What position?
Wide receiver, cornerback, punt returner, kick returner, punter.
Must be pretty good. Well, you kicked Call's butt all over the place last year, so that's been your senior year, right? It's always painful to lose to you guys, but good luck. Hang in there and stay at it, work at it.
A few minutes later, the detectives dive into the true reason for the meeting. They ask Riley to provide a timeline of his whereabouts over the previous weekend.
Let's start with Friday. What, do you have classes during the day?
Wednesday, Friday, I have an 8 a.m. and a 9 a.m. And Tuesday, Thursday, I have a 6 a.m. and an 11 a.m. And then the other class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday is at 1 p.m.
Wow. You stay pretty busy, don't you? Let's start with...
Yo, I went to college, bro. I did not know my schedule off the top like that. Like, nah, I feel that sounds way too rehearsed, bro. Like, he was way too prepared there. You do not know your schedule off the top like that, bro. Maybe some people do, but I definitely didn't.
Friday, you get out of class at 1 p.m. What happens from there?
Riley explains that he headed to his grandparents' home that evening, then went to his friend Noah's home shortly after, where he spent the night. Then, according to Riley, his seemingly normal morning took a chilling turn. And it all started with a message from Emma.
And she was kind of acting frantic over the phone. And she said that someone was trying to get into her house. Somebody was dressed in all black. They had a face mask on. She said that she saw them. She said she thought they were just taking a walk in the neighborhood. And then when she passed them to pull into her driveway, they put on a pair of glasses. And they started, like, she said they kind of, like, sped up. So she went into the garage and shut the garage. And that's when I dropped all the stuff I was at my stepdad's house and drove all the way to her neighborhood.
Did you say she texted you that information?
She texted me, like, she was asking if it was me at first, and I told her, no, what's going on, and then when she FaceTime called me, she was crying and freaking out, so I said, okay, give me a minute, I'll come down there and check it out.
Riley raced to Emma's home, and approximately 10 minutes later, he arrived.
I went to her backyard, made sure, nobody was back there, checked under the porch and everything, looked up and down the street.
But by that time, the would-be intruder was gone. Still, a residential surveillance camera captured a few seconds of footage as the man walked down the street. Riley returned to Noah's house somewhere around 8.
Oh, the plot thickens. There's footage of someone else, okay. Or is it someone else?
p.m. and stayed the night once again.
How do you leave and where do you go Sunday morning?
I don't know what time I woke up, but when I woke up, I went back to my grandparents and then went back over to Noah's house. And I got back to campus around 11:30, 11:45.
Naturally, the college freshman had left his homework until somewhere around midnight Monday morning.
I got back up to my dorm and I tried logging in onto my Maryville college email, but I realized I couldn't because I was logged in on my grandparents' my grandmother's laptop back in Knoxville, and it was late, almost 12:30, 12:15 or 12:30 around there. So I didn't think they were awake, so I drove back to Knoxville because I needed to do my homework. And I logged myself out of laptop at my grandparents' house. My grandfather was awake though. He saw me log out of laptop, and from there I left.
It's intriguing that Riley felt the need to emphasize how his grandfather saw him log out of the laptop.
True, I was gonna say that. And it's also intriguing, like, that he went home all the way to Nashville. Let's see some, guys. Let's see some. How far is Maryville College from Knoxville? 19 miles. I mean, that's not that bad. You could drive that, bro. That's 25-30 minutes drive. And like 12 a.m. in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's probably like, 20 minutes drive. So that's not bad.
I drove back to Knoxville because I needed to do my homework. I locked myself out of laptop at my grandparents' house. My grandfather was awake though. He saw me log out of the laptop, and from there I left.
It's intriguing that Riley felt the need to emphasize how his grandfather saw him log out of the laptop, almost as if he's expecting that the detectives will think he's lying about why he went home.
He saw me log out of the laptop.
When someone who's being questioned acts defensive before they have even been accused of something, it can be seen by law enforcement as a possible sign of deception.
I ended up not doing any of my homework. Instead, I got back to campus around 1 a.m. and just sat in my car for about 2.
That don't make no sense. Off the rip, that don't make no sense. If I gotta do my homework and I just drove home from wherever I was, or my grandparents' house, I just drove from my grandparents' home back to dorms from a long weekend. I have class at like 8 in the morning. I have homework to do. My girl just told me that there's an intruder in her house the day before. I got all that on my mind, and I went ahead and drive back to Knoxville like 12:30 in the morning to log out of a computer and then not do the homework. Like, then what was the point? You know what I mean? Like, that don't make no sense. You might argue, oh, you had to check your email, but nah, bro. Nobody's doing that, bro. That don't make sense to me.
2 hours, 2.5 hours, and just wept. 4:30, I fell asleep around then, and that's when I woke up to people calling me about what had happened. Well, first he had texted me, and he was like, hey man, I'm sorry about what happened. So I was like, what are you talking about? And he called me after that, and he said, did you not hear what happened? I said, no, what are you talking about? And he said, they found him dead in her bed this morning, or unresponsive is what he told me. And that's when I started freaking out, having a breakdown. So my parents, or my mom and my grandmother, were coming out to campus to get me. They probably got up there around 9-ish, 9:30, somewhere around there.
You freaking out having a breakdown that your girlfriend died, bro. You not remembering what time your parents got there. That's just me. Like, that, what time they got there is the last thing I'm gonna notice when they get there, bro. Like, we hopping in that car and we going to see what's wrong. What? What's up? What's happening?
As soon as he starts talking about being told about Emma's death, Riley starts stroking his face. This is a self-soothing behavior indicative of heightened anxiety. This could be because the topic is distressing for him, which would be understandable, or a hint that maybe something else about the topic makes him nervous. Although some dismiss nonverbal analysis as pseudoscience, and whether or not the viewer agrees with it, it is used by the FBI, CIA, and police during interrogations, which is why we include it. When the CIA is interrogating an individual, they look for clusters of 3 or more indicators that occur in either quick succession or all at once. These indicators can be signs of discomfort or uncertainty in what the individual is stating, rather than indicators of deception. It's extremely important to note that you cannot detect deception through nonverbal analysis alone.
Okay. So then, once your grandparents got you and you went back to their house?
My mom and my grandmother, yeah.
Yeah. Is that, they came got you, that's where you went? Back to my parents?
I spent all day at my grandparents' house today.
Until
now.
Gotcha.
After a comprehensive run-through of Riley's previous weekend, the detectives transition to the sensitive subject of his longtime girlfriend's unexpected death. Perhaps Riley can provide something for law enforcement to go on. A detail that may seem insignificant to him may be the very information needed to crack the case.
Tell me what you know about Emma's passing. I know there's been all kinds of rumors and speculation. What have you heard?
I'm trying to put anything all of it out because I've heard so many different things. I've heard she just passed in her sleep. I heard she tried to commit. I heard a stray bullet came through the wall, but that made no sense to me because it's her room. If a stray bullet hit the wall, it would have to be from the backyard because that's where her window is. I don't know, that one didn't make sense to me, but those are the main 3.
Who have you talked to? Where have you heard these rumors about passing in her sleep and all that stuff.
I've had a bunch of my friends visit me today at my grandparents' house, and they would just tell me different stuff that they've heard from different people.
Okay.
Riley has been fidgeting and spinning his seat throughout the interview so far. But as soon as the detectives start asking about Emma's death and the rumors surrounding it, he also begins picking at his fingers, which is typically an anxiety response.
Okay. Do you remember who told you the stray bullet?
Yeah, it was actually about an hour ago when he showed up. His name's Jacob.
How do you know Jake?
We've been friends since 2nd grade.
Did he say where he heard the stray bullet theory?
No, he said it was the same thing, like hearsay. He said he probably said that didn't sound right to him either, but...
Horrifyingly so, it seems that the detectives are beginning to consider that the killer could be hiding in plain sight, disguised as a grieving friend. Perhaps they even paid Riley a visit in an attempt to avoid suspicion, simply playing the part of another young mourner expressing condolences to the longtime boyfriend of the deceased. Detectives have collected potential leads in Riley's visitors from earlier that day, and with this, the entire trajectory of the investigation has drastically changed.
Can you think of anyone that would want to hurt Emma?
Not off the top of my head, no. Because, I mean,
She have any enemies?
No. She had no enemies that would want to hurt her. I mean, she had high school drama enemies, but, like, just girls she didn't like, but none that would do that.
She kind of got along with everybody. I mean, I don't know.
She was very likable. She was friends with most anybody that she talked to.
The last time you talked to her, you said was Sunday?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Did she make any comments about anybody being mad at her or upset at her or anybody want to hurt her?
No, but the only thing that I thought of was whoever the person was at her house Saturday morning. That's the first thing I thought of when I heard that she had passed this morning.
Then, a completely unexpected revelation is brought to light, and it changes everything.
Do you got people that are mad at you, that are trying to hurt you or anything?
Not that I know about, no.
Did nobody try to kidnap you or
Kidnap me.
Yeah.
Repeating the question can be a red flag to detectives. It could mean that the person being interviewed needs time to think about their response. A deceptive individual likely wants to prevent awkward silences after a question, as that could seem suspicious. However, if they need a moment to consider what they should say, they might repeat the question to fill that conversation gap.
What was it about?
I didn't want to... I'm sorry, I just didn't want to talk about it because it was traumatizing. I didn't know what to make of it.
And that's pretty important for us to probably know. I mean, somebody trying to kidnap you.
But I don't know, like... I don't know anything about it.
Notice the weak movement Riley makes here. It's a half-hearted shrug and his hands barely raise. Throughout, his illustrators have been minimal. We don't have anything of him before the interview to really compare to, but it's an atypical behavior for people in general to have such weak nonverbals. Illustrators help people make points while they speak. In contrast, restrained gesturing is believed to be a telltale sign of deception.
He's starting to look real guilty to me, folks. What y'all think? He's starting to look real guilty. Watch him. But you never know. There could be a plot twist somewhere.
When did this alleged kidnapping take place?
Friday.
This past Friday? When did that happen?
Sounds alright. I don't remember much about it. I just remember two guys. Literally, I was Friday night before I got to Noah's. Went up to my stepdad's house, and I pulled in the driveway, and this van pulled over across the semicircle, and these two guys were like walking across the street. I didn't think anything of it because they weren't like in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned around, I'm about to get in my car, and next thing I know, one of them grabs my bag, and the other one's around the corner, and they just like put their hands over my face and just took me to their van or whatever.
Finally, we see Riley use larger nonverbal indicators. His palms are up, in a position usually indicating that he's asking to be believed or trying to be convincing. But they don't fit with his words. His hands just sit there for quite a long time, with no words to go along with it.
And then what?
I don't remember much. They just had me, I couldn't see anything. They had something over my eyes. I haven't told my mom or anybody about this.
Oh, really? Why not?
Terrified.
So, I mean, you ain't got any money?
No.
You gambling, debts? You gamble?
No.
So these guys just randomly picked you out for no reason?
I guess.
Riley's account sounds a bit questionable, especially because he doesn't give a clear reason as to why he can't remember much of it. He's also left out any mention of his feelings during the event, and only mentions being terrified to justify why he hasn't told his mom about it. Most people who were telling the truth about something major, such as being kidnapped, will express what their emotions were at the time. This is because their emotions are tied to the memory of the traumatic event. When someone leaves these details out, it can be a red flag for possible deception. But the question is, what could he be leaving out? That same night, Emma had attended a gathering at a friend's home after the football game. It was somewhere around 11:30 p.m. when she began receiving alarming text messages from an unfamiliar phone number.
They did ask me, they were like, who would you want to talk to for the last time? And so I started freaking out, and I said, Emma.
Text messages instructed Emma to go outside. They stated that they had her loved one in their possession, and if she didn't comply with their demands, he'd be hurt.
And they made me call Emma. She wouldn't answer my phone multiple times, so they used their phone. And I was just crying and screaming. She thought it was a joke. She thought I was playing a prank on her.
Riley has been fidgeting with his hands and moving in his seat this entire time. This indicates that he's been letting off his excess energy, which is going to be a red flag to the officers that he may be hiding something. The fact that Emma thought Riley was playing a joke on her could suggest that he had done something in the past to make her doubt his sincerity. A friend accompanied Emma outside, and that was when they located Riley, lying face down in a nearby ditch. According to her friend, Riley appeared to be disoriented.
I woke up where Emma was.
Where was that?
In her friend's yard. It's run up Tassel Pike. I literally remember.
Wait, so this actually happened? Yo, so you actually got... I thought he was making this up. So you actually almost got kidnapped and you ain't tell your moms, bro? That sounds like something else going on for real. Like, maybe he caught up in something and... That's an odd one, bro.
Then my head ached for the rest of the night when I got back and it was after that.
This man said my head ached. Yeah, you got kidnapped, bro.
Did you tell no one all that?
Yeah. They thought I was messing with them. That's why I haven't talked to anyone about it, because no one would take me seriously.
It's interesting that Riley still hasn't asked exactly what happened to Emma. Most people would ask at some point, while maybe not early on since they don't want to interrupt investigators. They wouldn't want to sit through the entire interview without asking for some kind of information about what happened. This is likely a red flag to detectives. After acquiring the information they need for the time being, the detectives conclude their interview with Riley.
I do want to thank you for coming in and talking to us, Riley. I do appreciate that.
It's clear that investigators know Emma didn't take her own life, but instead believe something far more sinister occurred. Though the information hasn't yet been made public, they're aware that Emma died as a result of a single gunshot, the bullet having traveled through the exterior of her house before striking Emma in the head. Somewhere around this time, law enforcement is approached by friends of Emma who strongly suspect they know the identity of the killer. They want to assist in the investigation. In fact, they believe they can get their hands on the very weapon that might have been used to murder Emma earlier that same morning, if the rumors that she died of a gunshot wound are accurate. You see, the person they suspect is also a close friend of theirs. In addition, one of the teens has recently witnessed something quite coincidental. The suspect had recently acquired a firearm.
Oh, I told you the plot would thicken. Okay. Yeah, where'd he go? He's gone making mischief somewhere.
In fact, he'd gone so far as to show it to one of them. With the friends having come forward, the idea that the killer is among them has gained even more credibility, disturbing as it is. Despite the potential dangers of which they're warned, the amateur detectives opt to go through with the sting operation on November 22nd, just one day after Emma had died. A plan is constructed, and the friends are wired and equipped with a hidden camera.
All of you. There's nobody else I'd rather be going into this with. Nobody else I could go into this with.
Oh, shit, man. This is insane. Just go do your thing, guys. All right. Hey, everyday life, man. Everyday life. Go do your thing.
Let's go play some Modern Warfare.
There you go. This is another day, man. Yeah. Look at that fog. Is that light still on?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, guys. Do your thing.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And with the short briefing from detectives, the precarious mission headed by a brave couple of teens is underway. The friends return to one of their homes and prepare for the suspect to arrive.
So, dude. Okay, that's in the we're back in the crib. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, I'll walk out there. Alright, I'll see you. Why did he say that? Why did he say he just wanted to talk to me? Holy why does he want me to talk to him? I don't know, man. I don't know. All I can think about is that he would trust you already. Which, I mean, yeah, because I've just been bullshitting him harder. Alright, FYI, guys, my roommate is not home. He's going to be at work till about like 1 or 2 a.m. tonight.
One of the friends updates law enforcement who's listening in. The suspect is due to arrive in just a few minutes. The hidden camera is strategically placed just before the suspect enters with his friend, and both take a seat on the couch. Apparently, the two had a short conversation outside, and the suspect would like for his friends to accompany him on an errand of sorts. But before they get to that, they speculate on Emma's potential manner of death. We know that very little information has been made public, and they only have rumors to go on. Well, 2 of them at least. We suspect that the third knows everything.
They would have automatically ruled out any kind of suicide, or I mean, not ruled it out, but like, if she would have got shot through the wall, you don't just get shot and die instantly unless you get hit in the throat or in the head. Yeah. Unless you got shot directly in the heart, but still even that, like, you're gonna feel that, wake up and be able to try and like crawl out of your bed. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, I still don't understand how she died.
It's likely that no part of this discussion is medically accurate, but the undercover friends play along in an attempt to get more information from the suspect, and the speculation continues.
I don't either, but if she got shot through the wall, then she would, like, say it hits her in the stomach. Say somebody shot her in the wall, hit her in the stomach. She's going to wake up. You don't just get shot and lay there. Yeah, I don't see how she wouldn't scream or something, like anything. And she just laid, unless it was just like a ridiculous shot. If it hit her in the head, then they would have saw that. Well, yeah, but you don't know. You didn't see that though. They could have walked in and seen her just. Well, they would have seen it was a murder investigation from that morning.
As far as I know, like,
they never.
they always don't know anything about how she was found or when she was found.
Because
whenever you hear, exactly whatever
they always knew, whatever you hear it from,
could not be true.
They knew it was all started from the first second because they put in protective custody. You serious? Yeah.
The suspect is clearly alarmed by this information. The thought of a friend having been murdered would be quite devastating to hear. However, it's much more probable that the shock is from knowing that if her death was in fact a homicide, then law enforcement's main focus will be to locate the killer, which brings us to our next important topic of conversation.
But I'm trusting you guys, like, with my life, because, I mean, this is 70 years in jail if I get convicted of something I did do. And are you busy right now? Are you about to do anything?
Wait, what?
Because I need to get rid of it.
What?
I'm going to throw it in the water. They'll never find her.
I'm trying to get the water with like rocks and
Okay. Well, we did it with your multiple ones. Sure. We can go on the smaller ledge that really looks out of the water.
I mean, I got your back, man.
I just need
Jesus Christ, dude, I got your back.
if it's in the Tennessee River, they will never find it. So that's why I just want to eliminate that from the equation as a whole.
I see you cover your bases. Everything is basic. I mean, I feel that.
First of all, he should have never. Oh, why this one to quit? No, we not quitting nothing.